Hello, everyone, and thank you for being here with us for another inspiring story for Lucie's Inspiring Story podcast. Now, today's conversation happens to be a very, very special one and a very tender one for me. I met my guest, Lana Stevenson, in New York in March. And I have to say that, when I first met her, I felt her strength immediately and I could almost feel her heartbeat. So I want to thank you, Lana, for being here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Could you tell us where you're coming in from?
I am in San Diego. I grew up in South Africa and we immigrated to Canada in the mid 80s and to San Diego in the mid 90s. And this has been home since then.
Right. Do you find yourself saying that a lot because of your accent?
Yes, and because I have been gone so long, my accent's kind of not quite South African, not American. My family always say, "What accent are you speaking with?" I'm like, I don't know. So yeah.
Oh my God. So, Lana, thank you definitely for being here. And I know that, this is quite a difficult situation for you because your daughter passed away. Could you tell us a little bit about, the instance of what happened to her and when she did pass away?
Yeah, I have been blessed with two beautiful, beautiful daughters. My older daughter is 40, and my baby, who recently passed away, was diagnosed with stage 4 colon cancer at the age of 24.
Oh my God.
Yeah, she was given a prognosis of 14 to 24 months, and she lived another 11 years because of her resilience, of her zest for life, of her not ever thinking, oh, woe is me, I'm a dying cancer patient. She wouldn't go to cancer patient groups because she said, well, I was going to listen to all these sick people. She went
Yeah.
snowboarding, she went to Colombia. So um, she lived her life to the fullest until the last 3 years when she couldn't. And she came home to live with me, and I nursed her for the last 3 years. But the importance of her in my life, I've always been a very athletic person, a competitive marathoner and black belt karate and numerous other sports that took me into my career being personal training. And mostly it was about performance athletics, coaching, and then general fitness. But when Leora was diagnosed with cancer, my training took a whole different direction. The meaning of being physically healthy took on a different meaning, because if you don't have your health, you don't have anything.
Yeah.
And that became clearly apparent to me. And it's not easy for someone who is not feeling good to have the motivation to exercise. It's not easy for normal people to want to exercise. They'd rather sit on the couch. So, so I made that my quest, and I studied with the Cancer Exercise Training Institute to learn about how do you work with different patients with different cancer diagnoses, with different therapies in a way that I'm not going to injure them, because it's radiation has a different effect. Different chemos have a different effect. Different surgeries have different outcomes. So you really have to be careful. And then once I got into that and seeing how I could even help my daughter when she would let me, because mom doesn't know anything, but I
Yeah,
try.
right.
Then I delved into other uh, chronic diseases like diabetes. I became a medical exercise specialist. And then I kind of got not more focused, but as focused on why not prevent, and got into lifestyle and longevity training. So that's been the aura of my practice the last 10 years, was around helping people feel the best they can with the cards they've been dealt.
So that this whole experience really with your daughter has really shaped the woman you are today,
It
wouldn't you
really
say?
has.
Yeah.
In such an incredible way, and in so many different ways.
Yeah.
physically, mentally, emotionally. It has changed the core of who I am.
Has your relationship with your body changed at all through this experience?
It has changed. It initially, like I just felt like my whole DNA had changed.
Mm.
I did not feel the same, and I've had to respect my body in a way that I have always taken for granted. My sleeping, my all my normal habits. I couldn't eat like I normally eat. I just didn't had no appetite. So my whole physiology changed, and it changes for life. You have to really be cognizant of getting back on track. And I still struggle with with a lot of things that I did normally that just feel harder now, like even, when your focus is on your child, on every movement of your day is around that, on feeding them the right food, because I'm very cognizant of nutrition and how that affects well-being. Um, I was preparing food, to the best of my ability. Then when it's just me, I lost a lot of weight, which I couldn't afford to do.
Yeah.
And slowly now I'm getting back into, whoa, you count as well. You need to eat the right foods, enough. So yeah, I think everything changes and it's forever.
So really staying capable mean for you now, has a much deeper level, doesn't it? It has, I mean,
For
it's,
me,
yeah,
yeah, for me, capable right now almost is survival. I'm at a much better place than I was, hey, 3 days ago. But tomorrow
yeah.
I could be where I was 3 days ago. And that's what I've learned to respect, is that
Mhm.
this isn't a linear curve in terms of recovery. This is going to take me a long time. And what I've also learned is that you only grieve as hard as one does because of the love you carried for that person. And
Mhm.
so, I often feel like it's my badge of honor, of love, of that I walk around with forever and forever. And I feel her, I see her all the time. My house is filled with her. I was thinking, I've lived here since she was 10 years old. And I was just sitting there thinking, she has lived in every bedroom. At some point in time, we've been playing, musical bedrooms. And in her last year, she couldn't even make it up the stairs. So I literally made her room, my living room. I opened up the sleeper couch, and it was her. She lived there. She died there. So
Yeah.
and I don't want to move everything, which it's like a catch-22, because the minute I walk it, some days, some evenings when I go and sit on that couch where we sat every night, I can't do it. I got to go downstairs to my bedroom because it's too hard. And there are days where I'm okay with it. So I'm learning to respect that process. And I I feel in my heart that I will always do what I'm doing now, but I feel
Mhm.
like there's going to be a little pivot in the work I want to do, and how I want to help other people, because this is an emotional process that I don't think anyone can understand, that you cannot explain unless you've been through it. And I was
Right.
grateful for the people who were around me who could do that for me.
It requires so much courage and strength. Um, what have you discovered about strength that maybe you didn't know before?
It's it has a whole different meaning to me. You know, I but in the past for me, showing up was about being strong. Being strong
Mhm.
and showing up meant about you do what you're supposed to do because this is what you're supposed to do today. You don't not show up. And for me now, strength means giving myself permission to not show up if I can't,
Right.
and to not to wallow, but to honor the pain and sit with the pain, because if I keep pushing it away, it's not going to go away. And it's
It'll
never going to go away.
body anyway. It's just,
Right. And so it's going to be part of who I am. I'm going to just have to learn how to carry it. And at this point, I feel like I'm called like in the wilderness where I'm trying to figure it out. It's not and for each person it's so different and there's no timeline.
There's no timeline. I mean, she passed away when?
In November 25.
Yeah, so recent.
So recent. And I did start counseling because I was really struggling with the grief. And I said to her, it's already 6 months. How am I? She goes, stop. It's only 6 months. Not
There you
it's
go.
already 6 months. So I'm learning to respect the process and the
Be
grief.
kind to yourself
Yeah.
also. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And again, I'm very blessed with a phenomenal support system with wonderful clients who understand and give me the space to grieve if I have to, and the
Yeah.
most beautiful family that anyone could wish for.
Wow.
So, it's funny. You think, 11 years that when the time comes, you will be able to deal with it.
Mm,
But
yeah.
it got to the point where she was so sick, and I know she stayed alive for me. She knew she was in so much pain. I didn't sleep at night because I would hear her upstairs. I would hear her moaning. I would hear her in pain. She couldn't get to the bathroom. And the night before, that, she was in the MAID program and she had the medication if necessary. Um, she called me from downstairs and then she says, Mama, I'm so sorry, but I can't do another day. Please, let's
Wow.
get the hospice nurse here tomorrow. And I honored what she needed.
Yeah.
I couldn't be selfish. She hung in long enough for me. And
Right.
so, she kept her sense of humor right
Yeah.
till the very last minute. That she was stronger than anyone I knew. She she took the medication and I was like, I mean, think about the trauma. I'm watching my child drink medication, which is 10 times the lethal dose of any human. But she had been on opiates for so many years that she had a very strong resistance. So
Right.
most people, the nurse was telling us, go into a coma within 5 to 10 minutes.
Oh, wow.
It'll pass in 3 hours. Not my child. 45 minutes, agitated, choking. I'm dead weight. And it was because she gained a lot of weight towards the end, because at that point she was like, I'm just eating ice cream. She was eating like 2 tubs of ice cream a day. And so she goes, Mama, but I don't want to be a fat ghost. And I would say, Aura, think
Very
of how
fun.
much more ashes I'm going to have to disperse for you. We
You
would
had,
try and
yeah.
make light of the situation. But when the time actually comes, the
You're
shock
never
is as
ready.
intense. Yeah.
You're never
But,
ready. Alana, how do you navigate those days when showing up feels incredibly like, oh, how can I do this? It's,
um, I I wear it on my sleeve. So I've never not done any, like canceled any appointments, but people
mhm,
will know that I'm not, and they'll respect that and they'll help me through it. Um, but there isn't a day, Lucie, that I haven't got out of bed, done my run, got dressed, because that physical side, which is I really try and impart in everyone, no matter how much you don't feel like doing it, once you do, it is such a mood elevator. It really does change the core of how you feel for the rest of the day. And so I force myself to do those basic things, but I also force myself to acknowledge I'm grieving and that I can fall down and cry all day
right.
when I want to. It's
So you do take care of yourself. I mean, you're aware that some days you just can't, and so it's
yeah,
okay to stay home and cry.
I
It's
do.
like
I do.
give
I mean,
yourself
and some weekends when I'm not working, I will.
hmm
I'll
Yeah,
just
yeah,
stay home and cry. But I've
yeah.
always gotten out of bed, showered and got dressed first, always. I find that
It's a
very
mindset. You
important.
have
Yeah,
to.
right. Total
It's,
mindset.
yeah.
And yeah, so, and
So
I'm blessed. I really, really am blessed because I have the ability to do this because I have people who care. And because I know if I choose to, I could call anybody and cry. But I've gotten to a point now where not nobody wants to hear you sobbing and still being in distress all the time. I don't want to. I want to absorb it.
yeah, it's a very funny human thing that we have. It's like, you know, when you're not going through it yourself, it's like, well, it's been 6 months. When is she going to get over it? But you
Right,
know, there's you know, there's that part. But it's like, just like, you know, a therapist says, it's only been 6 months. You
right.
know,
And you're
so
never going to get over it.
and you're
And
never going
that's
to
the
get,
harsh reality.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But also, Lucy, I'm so grateful how many parents have got the phone call or the knock on the door, your son or your daughter has been killed. I got to spend the last 2 years, like close to 3 years, on the couch with her every day, talking
Joking,
about it, joking, and not leaving anything unsaid, good, bad, and ugly. We had it all up, and that's her dog, Calvin. So I've inherited him, and he was the love of her life. I've never had children, and they said, "Mom, Calvin better outlive me," and he has. He's
and so so you know, he's part of your daughter. So it's
Yeah,
like, so
totally.
yeah.
Um,
So, you know, I know that you support others, but how do you also care for yourself doing that? I mean, I know that I heard you say that your clients are very understandable, but and understanding and you know, let you be who you are, and they know when you're hurting and whatnot. But you still have to show up. You
yeah,
know, I
I
mean,
do take care of myself, Lucy. I've really become, like I said, it was difficult at first with food, feeding myself the right nutrients, and I know what that is. It's what I do.
mhm.
So in the beginning, there was a point where I couldn't even do that. And again, I am grateful that I had people who would bring meals, not that I would eat them, but it was available. But I've learned that I have so much to live for, that motivates me to take care of myself. I cannot get up a day without exercising. I've got a beautiful daughter in Canada and a grandson, and it's like, the
And they,
days that I think I don't even want to live anymore. I'm like, how can you even go there in your head? Can you
right,
imagine what that would do to my other daughter?
exactly,
So that's my motivation. I do take care of myself. Like I said, I've started counseling because I was struggling with the grief. I found myself very deep, um, in so much pain that I didn't know what to do with it. And I'm talking about 4 or 5 days ago. And I can cover it up and I can go into denial and I can um, you know, occupy myself with other things, but I'm choosing not to because I'm starting to understand that that's not going to fix it.
right.
And I keep going away to Toronto to my family. Initially, it was okay, but so they said, come on, come out, come again. I said, no, because I still have to come home. Every time I come home, it's harder. And
Yeah,
so I'm learning to take care of myself very differently. It has a different meaning to me now. And I know in my future, it's going to be something that I really will help other people with because
absolutely. It's going
it's
to
a
impact other
dark
people's
place.
lives. Absolutely. What would you want someone going through the loss to hear? You know, to,
I would want them to really, really be patient with themselves and to understand it's 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 a hard, almost harsh thing to say, but that it's not going away, and to really understand that the depth of their grief is an expression of their love. Because
mm,
you cannot grieve this much if you don't love that much.
the
You
depth
really
of your
can't.
grief is the expression of love. I love that.
And you don't grieve like this with someone you don't love, with that
Right.
kind of, and it's and just, yeah, really be patient with themselves and get help if they need it. Because
Right.
it's not easy to navigate.
No, and you know, I'm sure you're going to say, and there's never any ending. You know, it doesn't end.
No,
It
I
just
mean, do you know how many times people said to me, why don't you go into grief counseling or get a counselor? I'm like, what are they going to tell me? What are they going to tell me? I don't know. This is forever. My child's dead. Obviously, I'm sad. But it got to a point where I said, okay, that's not the answer. You need
yeah.
help in getting professional advice on where to put it, how to respect it and to understand it.
And even say the word so somebody else is listening to it
Yeah. Yeah.
helps.
Oh,
So,
absolutely.
you know, Lana, your story is you know, it's not just one of resilience. It's one of love that that continues and continues. I want to ask you, if someone's listening today and you know, felt seen in your words, how can they connect with you
They
or
can
take
find
you?
me on LinkedIn under Lana Stevenson, and or my business name is Resilience Shift Health, Wellness and Fitness. I have a profile on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on um, Instagram, and I've constantly got postings up there, around well-being and health, and all my contact information will be on that.
We'll be on that. And then, of course, I want the audience to know that on the replay, we'll have all that information for you. So, yeah, not to
Great.
worry
And
about.
then also I have an author page on Amazon, Lana Stevenson, because I've been in the Art of Connection, where I met Lucie,
Nice.
in five of their international best-selling books. So you'll find me there too.
And all your connections also in
Yeah.
that book. So, folks, if this conversation touched you, I want you to share it with somebody who may need it. Because I want, you know, really sometimes healing begins with just feeling understood.
Hmm. Totally.
So, thank you, Lana,
Thank
for
you,
being.
Lucie.
Thank you.